This chapter discussed how the three branches of the national government embodies the constitutional principles we learned last chapter. It talked about the roles and authority of each, the duties each has to perform, and how they all check each other and prevent unrestrained power. It also talked about how federalism remains a dynamic characteristic of our government. A prominent topic was the roles of the president. One major role he has is commanding the armed forces. He has the power to protect the nation from hostile powers and send troops abroad. He also can make treaties, appoint ambassadors and consuls, and nominate ambassadors, public ministers, consuls, and judges. The president is the head of the executive department, which means he is the top of the Congress and all other executive branch components. He can issue executive orders, which are regulations or rules. Although there are many checks on his power, he has a lot of authority and is a head decision maker in the government. Another thing the president has the ability to do is check congressional power by vetoing the bills they are attempting to pass. A present-day issue surrounding this ability is shown in Trump's threat to veto Congress's spending bill. This bill was a $1.3 trillion spending bill that doled out funding for the remainder of the fiscal 2018. It included funding for a border wall, increased immigration enforcement, infrastructure, health care, taxes, and more. In order for the bill to be passed, Trump had to approve it first. However, in a morning tweet, Trump said he might veto the ominous bill because it did nothing to address the fate of young undocumented immigrants and DACA recipients, and did not fully fund his border wall. In the end, he agreed to sign it, saying that it provided much-needed funding for the military, including a pay raise for troops and new equipment, so he ended up not vetoing it. If Trump had vetoed the bill, Congress could have overridden it with a 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate. This example shows the importance of vetoes and how they are used today. They are used to balance out powers between branches and make sure no law is passed without adequate scrutiny and approval. I think that this vetoing ability of both the President and Congress is vital to the separation of powers and balance of the government. I think it allows no bill to be unfairly passed, and this is beneficial to all of society. This topic applies to Lesson 23, in which the roles of the President are explained. In this section, all the President's powers are detailed and the veto is introduced, which was the topic of my present-day issue surrounding Trump. It also applies to Lesson 24 because this lesson talked about Congress's power in the administration of money in the government and Congress's vetoing power. This is shown in Congress's making of a bill to allocate money to different federal pursuits. The vetoing power is shown in the case that if Trump had vetoed the bill, they could have overridden it. Finally, it closely related to Lesson 22 because this lesson detailed the process Congress undergoes to pass a bill. This relates to the spending bill because it had to undergo all the steps discussed in Chapter 22 before going to the President for approval, and the President vetoing the bill is one of the things the chapter discussed.